Hey everyone. I was gonna say good morning. Good morning. I'm popping on live to show you guys how to paint, and it's very quick and easy. These little jar candles. I got them at Target in that little section out front where you get like the $1 and $3. I think they were $3, little jar candles. Really cute, great colors for fall, but look at how you can dress them up. Hey Jan, for fall. And there's a couple different styles, and I know there's a little bit of light glare on there, but they're pretty cute to paint. So I'm going to show you really quickly a few easy steps to paint those. Hi Brenda, good morning. Now, I'm using acrylic paints on these, but I am using the enamel multi-surface paints. These are the same paints that I use when I'm painting all my glassware and wine glasses and things. And I am not going to bake my candles in the oven, of course, but the same paint can be used on glassware. You bake it in your kitchen oven. I don't know, 20 minutes or so. The directions are on the bottle, and then they're dishwasher safe, and the paint really does stay on. I've used them and washed those glasses over and over. But we're not going to, of course, bake our candles, but this paint really does adhere a little better than your ordinary acrylics, which might come off if you were to scrape them with something sharp. Hey, you guys are great for popping on. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Patty. Lisa. So there's different brands. This is the Americana. It's called a glossy enamel. Folk Art makes a multi-surface one. Deco Art makes one, and lots of times you can identify them quickly because they have this little icon on the top. It looks like it's a little glass and tin and wood, so it kind of gives you a little clue that it's multi-surface. So those are really cool paints. I have a nice selection of those, and I use it for my glass painting. I will pop on in the not too distant future and do some fall wine glasses. I have done the gnomes, which are adorable, but this time we'll do some that are geared just towards fall. As a matter of fact, I've been picking up all kinds of odd bits and pieces to come on quickly and show you some painting techniques that are very fast on unusual surfaces. I have some cute little, actually I was just going to pop on and show you, but I'll show you now. These I got at Hobby Lobby. They look like canvas, but they're little magnets. And how cute would those be? I don't know how many of you caught my little quick tutorial on the gift tags, which with the sunflowers, quickly painted. Really ups your game when you're giving gifts to have a little hand-painted gift tag. I've got some tote bags on fabric I'm going to be painting. I picked up a pair of sneakers. I've been dying to paint something on my sneakers. So watch for all the crazy bits and pieces besides canvas and wood that I will be doing for you guys. If you want to know when I'm going live like this, you can text me. I will send you a heads up. I'm getting a little better at remembering to do that. And here's the number, 978-315-5650. Send me a text. I'll put you on my list and just give you a little heads up when I'm going on live. So the first thing I do, and then I'll turn my camera down and you guys can actually watch me paint a little closer. On your glass surfaces, I just take a little cotton ball or a paper towel, ordinary alcohol, wipe the surface down to remove any fingerprints and little things on there that might impede your painting. So I'm doing that now. I'm just going to rub a little bit of alcohol on the surface where I'm painting. I've got the paints out, which I showed you, which are just those enamel or gloss enamels, multi-surface paints. And I got my colors out. My brushes, just a few. I'll turn the camera now and you can watch me paint. It's just a little pumpkin design with sunflowers around it. You could do a pumpkin design and put just the white strokes instead of the yellow if you like daisies. You can put any color you want, but let me show you. So prepare to go upside down for a moment, and I will get this camera set up so that you can in fact actually see me painting a little clearer. Let's see. I'm also going to pull you guys up on my laptop. If you have any questions at all while we go, please put them in the comments. I'll answer them as we go along. If you're watching this later on a replay, same thing. Just put something in the comments because I do watch the post. So I will certainly be able to help you along at any time because this replay will stay up on the page. Okay, so let me get that a little straighter for you to see. Okay. So here you can see the little designs I've already done. I'm going to kind of sit them like that so you can see. And these are the two surfaces we're going to paint on. Like I said, they were $3 at Target. You could find little jars like this probably any place around this time of year, any of the hobby stores or craft shops and whatnot. I've put out my colors. I've got them already in the jars, so I'm not really mixing so much today. I've got my yellow, orange, white, black, brown, green. That green I'd like to darken up a little bit, so I pulled out a little bit of dark blue there to mix in. And I'm only using a couple brushes. For this, these petals, I sometimes like the filbert, which is that rounded tip brush. But you can certainly use your square flat. They're just the acrylic synthetics. I have a little round. I have a little tool that I use to make dots. Not necessary, but if you have one, if not, you can just use the tip of your brush or the back end of your brush for little dots. Okay, same as glassware when I'm painting it. The colors are very transparent. For instance, on the back, let me show you. If you were going to just go on here with your orange paint, you can see how see-through that is. I mix it with a little white to start, and that will give me a base. I know I've told you guys lots of times when I'm painting, if your color is too translucent, as some acrylics are, add a tiny bit of white. It really gives a nice opaque look. And we're just using this base coat to get a base on there so that the orange is brighter. So it's not going to be this light. I'm really going to just make my pumpkin in a few strokes. I curve, I get a little straighter, I curve again, and they almost can see the little ridges in the pumpkin forming already, and all this is a little base coat. I'm just going to get it a little bit bigger. I want that pumpkin a little bigger. That's just going to give us something nice to put our orange on afterwards. We do have to let it dry. When you are doing a first coat or a base coat, very important to let the paint completely dry before going and putting your second coat on. If you don't, all you're really doing is just taking that first coat off. So we'll just do the same thing. I'm just curving a little bit, getting a little straighter in the middle of that pumpkin, and going to let that dry. I do have my heat gun handy, so if I have to zap it, I will, just so that you guys don't have to spend all day watching me do this and watching paint dry, which is not fun. We all know that. Hey, good morning, Kit. Thanks for popping in. So there's the way the pumpkins are going to go. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm taking a little green, and I'm going to take a little white, just to get a base on where my stem is. I usually curve my stem. I usually press a little bit with my round and then pull up, and you can see how I get a little wider stroke and then thinner. It's kind of cool. It's just pressing down and pulling in, and voila, you have a little stroke, which we will darken up afterwards. So the little flower petals, I'm going to go to my filbert brush. I like the shape it gives me for a little petal. Yellow is notorious for being transparent, so again, I'm going to add some white, and I'm going to get it a little more yellow after. I'm making these little flowers in one stroke. I am just pressing a little bit and pulling in. It's one little stroke. I always start at the outside edge and work my way in. We can almost go to a solid white, because then we're going to get a nice bright yellow afterwards. So I am just putting them peeking out. I'm not really putting an entire flower, but you certainly could. I'm just putting them peeking out, so that's just a little bit of 3 petals peeking out, 3 petals peeking out. You can put as many or as few as you want. I put a little bit of leaves down below, but there's nothing to say that you can't put flowers down here too. I'm going to do the same thing on this. You'll see how the difference it looks like with the green background versus the gold. So you can see how quick I'm doing those, but I always do go outside in. Press, pull, press, pull. Press a little bit, pull in. You get that little tapered petal shape. And since the little centers of these little black-eyed Susans are brown, I don't need to base coat anything on there, so that's good enough. I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to do the little centers after we have our second coat of our yellow on. You can see how much brighter this one is from this. But let me put on my little leaves, and the leaves are fun. These are a little leaf I've done in some of the brush stroke tutorials we've done. Same brush, I'm using my filbert, and I use a stroke something like this. I press and I pull, and I get a leaf. Press and pull. It's very similar to the petal. It's press and pull. Now, if you want to get fancy, I'm going to make a darker green right here. I like to use 3 colors on my brush at the same time and get one little petal in one stroke. Not necessary, but you're welcome to follow along and practice these strokes, because once you get it down, it's a quick and easy way to make a little leaf. But you could also do them just in green like this and add a little shade and a highlight on them. But what I do is I load my brush with green. I take a tiny bit of the dark. Actually, I think I might scoot right into the blue itself. Maybe into the white a tiny bit. So I've got the filbert brush with a little white on one side, a little dark blue on the other, and I'm just pressing and pulling, and I'm just making a little leaf shape. It has a little bit of dark on one side, a little bit of light on one side. Look, this one got very blue, so I may just go lighter. I think maybe on my little guy there, I just did it with a highlight of white. But you can see how you can get a nice little shaded petal. It's a great stroke to practice. But like I said, just do your regular little leaves first if you're not familiar with the shading on the brush all at once. And give it a try when you get some time to practice. You can do it on your palette or your paper plate or a piece of paper. So let me go in, and all I do is I look at my design and I say, where are some empty spots to put some leaves in? So I am going to, actually, you know what? The green is very light, so let me just mix the whole thing with some white there, and let's do the same thing. Let's just get a base coat in that we're going to go over with our brighter green. And it looks very dull here because we've mixed everything with white. But on this glass, it's good just to have the little elements painted in a base coat, and put as many little leaves as you want out here. And it dries pretty quick, so it's not like you have to wait a long while. So I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to skip in and do it just a light, almost a white leaf. And see, I'm pressing and pulling out towards me, pressing and pulling. Sometimes I give it a little curve just to vary up the leaves, make them a little different. And this I'm putting in just wherever there's a little empty space. And down here I kind of put a little bed of leaves, which actually I did green, but would be kind of nice in fall colors too. And that's everything pretty much base coated now. Yep. All right, let me see if my pumpkins are dry, and then I will go ahead and put a second coat on there. And they are dry. So I'm going to load my brush with my orange. I'm going to put one coat on, then I'm going to put some little brown lines to give a little depth into those little sections that you see on a pumpkin. So for now, I think I'll just go with some orange. I might take a little yellow on the tip of my brush. And I went over these a few times to get the look I wanted. So see now how it's going to brighten up a little bit. I'm going back and adding even a touch more, a tiny bit more. That white just helps tremendously to get the coverage that we need. So I'm going to keep going on top of here with my orange until I get it a little brighter. Then I'll put those dark lines in the yellow highlights. So let's just give this a little second coat. You can see I'm following the same strokes. I'm curving on the edges, and then I'm just going straighter in the middle. I'm going to zap them really quick with the heat gun, so I apologize for the noise, but it'll just take a sec, and then we can go ahead and do our flowers and leaves, go back and finish up our little pumpkins. You can see how quickly they work up. You could make these into lovely gifts and just line up a bunch production style and go right to town and make some really cute little gifts. They might have some of these little candles in Christmas colors, which would be fabulous for little gifts for teachers and neighbors and the mailman and different people. So anyways, I'll make sure that's right so you can still see it. And let me go in and just give another coat to those little flowers. I'm even adding a little yellow. It's a little trial and error. You're going to go on, and if you don't see it as bright as you'd like, you can just do another coat or add a little brighter paint. But you can see that's much brighter than what we did for the base coat. So I'm just taking some yellow and going over those white petals. And just do that as much as you need to get it as bright as you like. You may want it brighter than this even, and you can just do the same thing. Just let it dry, put another coat on there. Where I see it's still a little see-through because, of course, we've got a darker background. This green is a little darker. I'm just putting a tad of white in with my yellow, and that helps cover that green background a bit. And those are leaves. We'll do these guys. First day of fall, so welcome fall, and I have finally drugged myself into fall from summer, and we have beautiful weather here in New England. leaves are starting to change up. So it's going to be all things fall from here on forward. Just a little bit of this dark brown. It's going to pop in the centers. And it really is not much. It's just a little pop in a little center. I'm not really worrying about what that looks like. I'm not making perfect little circles. I'm just giving it a little dab, and it will give you the illusion of a little brown center on those little black-eyed Susans. Or baby tiny sunflowers, whatever you wish. Same with the leaves. Now I can go back and get a little more of that brown, excuse me, green in that I needed to. And I think I'll just do a little green. I'm going to pop a little bit of white on the edge. I think that might be enough. Might skip the darks on the one side. Pressing and pulling, pressing and pulling. You can get a few strokes out of each leaf before you need to reload. When you're doing that little technique with a little bit of the light on the corner of the brush, it sort of blends in as you go, and at some point you lose it, so you can just do maybe 3 little strokes, then reload with your green and a tiny bit of white on the edge. I did that one. Now, if you were doing it strictly in just the green strokes, that is fine. Then you can just go back and just add a little white highlight if you wish. I'm also going to put a teeny little vein in the middle of these, so that might be enough for you too. Oh, look at what I did. I just painted the green leaf right over a little flower petal. So let's just make that yellow again there. Okay, and might as well do my little stem while I'm here. So the stem is the same thing, a little green, a little white. Might get some of that dark in on this one, maybe a little brown even. And it's just that little shape we did. I just sort of press and bring it down. I'm going to start with that on this one since I've got those colors on my brush. I think I like the little brown on one corner and a little white on one. And it's just one little stroke for my stem. And now I'll go back and do the leaves on this little candle. You guys painting some fall things already? Put it in the comments. Let me know what you guys are painting for fall and what you want to paint. Got some good ideas to go into October with some fun things we can paint. I appreciate you guys following on my pages. I appreciate you watching me on my lives. It is so cool to be able to paint with you guys and look for fun and unusual little things to paint on. I mean, flea markets, yard sales, you can find some really cool surfaces, some old antique things that you can add a little pizzazz to with some just quick little things. Doesn't have to be a big elaborate painting at all. All right. Hi, Georgiana. Starsky, kind of paint I'm using is either the Gloss Enamels, which is an Americana product. Deco Art has some, Folk Art, Multi-Surface. Lots of times you can identify it by these icons on the top, which shows that you can use this on glass, on wood, on tin. It's a nice multi-surface paint. If you were to be painting on wine glasses or glassware, you would bake it in your oven and it would come out pretty indestructible, dishwasher safe. I, of course, am not going to bake my candles, but the paint is still not going to come off here. If you use your regular acrylics, you could scrape it off with your fingernail. So those are the paints that I am using, and I really like them for lots of different surfaces. Okay, what we need to do now is another coat on our pumpkins, but I think I'll do my little veins first, giving those pumpkins a good chance to dry. I'm going to do little white veins. I really messed up my white paint, but let me see if I can get a tiny bit that's clean. And as I do when I'm doing detail work, I do add a little water to my paint. When I want a nice fine line, it helps if the paint is a little more ink-like than thick paint, and you can see how thick that is, plus it's drying while we're painting. Little tiny bit on the brush. I always start at the base and work out for my veins. I know these are teeny, but same method for big flowers, veins as well, of big leaves. So I just bring in a little line down the middle. I start from the outside, work in, and if you like to make a nice thin line like this, and I know people think it's hard, what I'm doing is I'm having a very, very, very light touch on my brush, not a lot of pressure. If I was to press down, I would get a big thick line. So the pressure is a big part of making a fine line. I'm hardly touching the glass. I'm just very lightly touching and lifting that brush right off, and that is keeping, even on this tiny little jar candle, a nice thin line. So it's consistency of the paint, thin it down a bit, and a nice light touch. I'm going to go back because there's that, I actually painted a petal here where a leaf was, and then I didn't fix the correct petal here. No matter with all your planning and whatnot, everything, you always have a little thing to deal with. So that's really a petal. That was a leaf up there, but I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so that gave our pumpkins a tiny bit more time to dry. So we'll do our little veins over here. I'm using that same little bit of white paint. I thin it down every time I kind of go back into it. And I am just little tiny veins. Are they necessary on this tiny, tiny candle? No, you could get away without them. I just wanted to add a little something, a little more. And then we're going to do a little detail on those flowers, and then we'll finish up with the pumpkins. So the little detail I do on my flowers, you can see just little tiny white dots around the center. They're kind of like pollen dots. I think they just add a little something. I'm using this little dotting tool, but like I said, you could use your brush or the back end of a brush. And I am just going to put a few little dots around the center of that little flower. Sometimes I put a dot right in the center and then go around. I'll lift it up so maybe you can see it a little better. Little dots. So I'd love to hear from you guys about joining in on my lives, because I really appreciate you watching, but I also offer classes on my page. I have a truck challenge coming up next week. It's 3 nights. It's $10 for 3 nights, and we're painting the vintage trucks. When I put the camera back, I'll show you what they look like. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. And I know that's a big commitment, so you certainly do not have to paint live with me the whole time. You will get the replays of that after the class, and you can paint that at your leisure. Anytime you want, stop and start, paint with your friends. And everyone loves those vintage trucks. So we're doing a scarecrow, a witch, and a snowman. So you've got 3 different paintings for the different seasons coming up. And I also want to mention that next week I am opening up my art membership, Tinker's Cartists, which is so much fun. It started on a whim. We opened up back in April. We've got lots of members in there. We're painting all kinds of fun things. It's not a lot. It's a low cost. It's you don't have to commit to an amount of time. You just go along monthly, and we paint. I paint some special classes just for the members. We paint live by Zoom so that I can actually see your faces and your paintings and help you as you go. I also release a couple of pre-recorded videos just for you guys each month. And any of my paid classes on the page, which are usually $10, you get them all free. So it's a nice group. It's an encouraging group. You're part of a private Facebook page, and everyone just has a great time, and we are all we help each other, and really a fun time. So if you consider that, I will, if there's any interest in that at all, just put in the comments membership, and I will get you that information. And if you're interested in the trucks when I show you those, you could just put trucks in the comments, and I will get you that information. Okay, so it looks pretty done, but we just want to do a little bit something to our pumpkins there. So I'm going to just take that same little liner brush. I'm thinning down a little brown paint because I want to put some little brown lines in there, just to separate these little sections. I'm doing a light stroke, and I've watered my paint down. I don't want a harsh, dark line. I want it to be a little subtle. So I am just going to divide up actually it's just where my brush strokes were. I'm just kind of going in those little spaces there. And it just gives you a little look of depth there. And I can even do the next orange coat while this is wet, because ideally it will blend in with the orange too. So let me just wash my brush off, dry it well, and get some orange paint. I'm going to add a little yellow to that too, but let's get the orange on there and see how that covers this time around. Yeah, it's covering nicely. So let's just do a little orange in there. I'm going in between those brown lines, just going over the brush strokes I already did, and I don't mind if they mix in, because I'm going to go back and actually put them in again so that they are nice and blended with my orange. And you got to be careful. Look at, I'm putting my finger in down here, so you got to be careful. I'm always putting my fingers in the paint and dragging it all over. then it's just a little white down here. So let me just touch that little bottom bits up. And I think I will go back with my brown real quick just to deepen it in because I lost it here a little bit. You guys have seen me paint, so it isn't like perfect the first time. I am back and forth, finessing things to get it the way I want. Alrighty. Okay. Now, I do like to have a little bit of a yellow highlight in there. Your highlight on your pumpkins, whether it's tiny like this or a big one, I do a little bit of a highlight on the outside edge, more in the middle, just like a pumpkin. If the light was shining on it, it would be bright in the middle here, then on the edges more here. This is teeny, so it's a little bit hard to see the dark and the light as it actually should be, but it's still going to be the same premise. So we're going to take a little bit of that yellow, maybe with a little white, just so it's a little opaque. And I want to go on my outside edge there, maybe in the middle here, around the edge there to the right. And there, and that's plenty. That's enough to get the illusion of a pumpkin. You can certainly step back, look at it when you're done, and adjust it if you need to, but I'm just going on the outside edge. This is still the side, so it'll be more the outside edge. Right in the, actually I have no middle one here, so we'll just give that a little more highlight. And then the outside edges. And then it stays wet for a few minutes, a few seconds anyway, and you can take your dry brush. That's what I was doing, is drying my brush off on my paper towel and just blend a little bit if you need to. And there you go. I don't think we need too much of a white highlight. If you wanted to, you could like give it a little bit of a white highlight too. I kind of like it with the yellow, but just to show you what that looks like, you can highlight a little bit if you want. But that's pretty much it. What do you think? They look done to me, right? What do you guys think? Hey, Eric, thanks for watching. So these were the finished ones. These are the ones we just did. And you know, they look really cute just together in a little vignette, or if you have some bigger pumpkins and you put these next to them. But really, they are just very, very cute. So let me turn you back up here. Hang on, roundabout. And there we go. So, sorry about my big hand there away. Anyways, fun to paint with you guys. It was just a quick little pumpkin flower piece, but really pretty cute. Great for gift giving. And again, I use the gloss enamel paints. Any questions at all, put them in the comments, whether you're listening to me now or later. Oh, the paintings for the challenge. Let me show you those. I've got the... I've got them all here. Good. Yep, these are the paintings for the challenge on Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday. So Monday we're going to paint the scarecrow truck. Then Tuesday we're going to paint the witch. And then we're going to finish up on Wednesday with the snowman. I give you the traces for all these paintings in various sizes. You don't need to know how to draw. You could trace them on. I give you the color palette that you need, and then on the night of the class, I give you the step-by-step instructions, again, which you can watch anytime. And that's just $10 for all 3 nights instructions. So I'd love it if you would think about joining. So in the comments, just put truck challenge. If you are interested in the Cardist membership, which is so exciting for me, put membership in the comments, or look on the page. There's plenty of information of both. Hi, Linda. How are you? Oh, and I'm excited. Linda, I'm doing a live paint night tonight at the library right here in Clinton. So I'm excited. I have 2 classes today in person, which is kind of nice. I haven't had very many of those. So I'm doing some wood signs with the group at the bank up in up in Tewksbury today, and then the library tonight. So I also do in-person classes as well as virtual to all of you who don't live right here in New England near me. So anyways, hey Dor, I'm going to jump off now. You guys have any questions, let me know. And thanks for watching. It was great to see you guys. Have a great day and happy fall.